Hey everybody, it's time for Old Roommates. And today, it's a big one, our 200th. It's true, our 200th episode. And we are celebrating by revisiting the epic 1999 film, The Talented Mr. Ripley. So put on a comfy corduroy jacket and sit out in the sun because our 200th episode is about to begin.
Hey, welcome to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And yes, we are revisiting The Talented Mr. Ripley. And the reason why we chose this movie for our 200th episode is because Brian reminded me of something when we were choosing this movie. This, allegedly, is the first movie that Brian and I watched in a movie theater together.
Yeah, prove me wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this.
I'm sure you are. No, I'm just saying my mind is a little bit...
Well, because it also wasn't just us. I want to be clear about this because... So this released on Christmas Day, 1999. I'm telling you, I think we even saw it on Christmas Day. I really believe this. And it was me and you and Naomi. And then as we're walking into the aisle, we see Jen... our friend Jen Sheridan and her friend John Courtney, and we introduced Jen and Naomi was like, didn't realize how young Jen was, and like, you know, because we're all friends, and it was so damn funny.
Oh
yeah, but that's really how the four of us. This was the first movie the four of us saw together, even though in two different parties. Mm-hmm. But it's also when Naomi and Jen met, and we're like the four of us were like a total foursome.
So
like
funny.
We talk with Marco Polo.
Yep.
The four of us talk every single day.
Yes, we do.
Not many friendships can say
maybe
that.
we can actually thank the talented Mr. Ripley for that then.
I mean, when else would it have happened?
Right.
Because I think 99. Would we have gone to New Hampshire for New Year's, and did we bring Jen that quickly? Maybe we did.
I don't know. I know we did things before Jen. We did camping trips.
Yeah. But like New Year's Eve.
But New Year's Eve.
99 and 2000. I remember there was one New Year's. It doesn't matter. But it was
2000 we didn't because 2000 was, you know, the Y2K and nobody did anything. And right?
I can't imagine that would have been, that we wouldn't have hung out.
We didn't hang out on Y2K because I remember specifically, like, everyone was afraid to do anything. So we're like, all right, I'm just going to rent some movies. Did you remember this? Like, people were like,
I do,
money
but I don't...
because they thought the computers were going to go back.
Because it's 0.
Yeah, it was going to erase everything in our lives. It was just like that crazy panic. I spent Y2K with my friend Kim, and we rented a bunch of movies. And we watched movies and got Chinese food. Yeah.
Good memory. I don't remember what I did. Unless that was when...
Was that?
We went
I
to
think
this
that was when
party.
you and Jen went to the warehouse party. Yeah. Yes.
All right. So anyway,
to the podcast.
Yeah, back to the podcast. So anyway, 200th episode. Here we go. Christina, we begin as we always do by talking about then. What were your thoughts on The Talented Mr. Ripley the first time you saw it?
All right. So here's something that's really interesting, Brian. This has never happened to me before ever, especially during this podcast.
Oh my God.
I know we watched this movie. I know I saw The Talented Mr. Ripley. I know what people have said. Did you watch The Talented? Did you see that? And yeah, I saw it. Matt Damon. Yeah. I have zero recollection of this movie. Zero. So much so that I forgot Jude Law was in it. I forgot Gwyneth Paltrow was in it. I forgot the plot. I forgot the murders. I had zero recollection.
Do you think you just never saw it?
No, I did see it.
Okay.
I know I saw it.
Yeah.
I know I saw it. I just had zero recollection. This is how bad it was. Before I watched this, I'm like, I need to watch the trailer. I need something to like spark something. Didn't remember anything. Even after the trailer, I'm like, what the hell where was my mind? I
you know
think
you
was
saw
one of those,
it. Yeah.
I know I saw it.
Yeah.
I know I saw it. But I'm so curious because I know you have the recollection of us going. And I remember being in the movie theater. I remember being with you, and I remember Jen and Naomi meeting and all this. I just don't have any recollection of that movie. Is that the weirdest thing?
Now I feel bad. What if I'm wrong? What if you didn't see it?
I know I did.
Okay.
I know I saw it.
All right.
I know when people have said, have you seen it? I said yes.
So I guess it's easy to say that it was forgettable for you.
Yes. Well, and now I'm very curious because you have such a great memory.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you remember how I felt about it.
I think you liked it. I remember because I really liked it.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, oh my God, Jude Law. Like, I mean, he is
he's
so
just gorgeous.
Beautiful
in
this movie. And I think the only thing is like, I didn't expect him. I don't remember the trailer. So like, I didn't, when I saw the movie the first time, I was genuinely shocked, like, oh shit, what's going to happen? He just hit him with the oar, not thinking he would be murdered and that he would be taking over his identity. And maybe the trailer did show that, but I remember feeling like a thud in my soul when they killed him off of this movie. Because I was like, oh my God, he's like so good. He's so good in this. And I love his character. But like, and I've said this before on this podcast, any sense of homoeroticism, any sense of a gay character. And I remember being really disappointed in the ending when he murders that gay guy.
Yeah.
And being like, oh my God. Like, so I think it was, do you remember loving it? But I remember thinking the ending was such a buzzkill. Like, a very unsatisfying ending. But I remember you liking it.
Okay.
And I think maybe, I don't remember word choices, but I remember you not, here's the thing. I would have remembered me liking it and you not liking it.
Yes, you would have.
But I wouldn't remember
so I
if we
was so
both
curious.
if you liked it too.
When I started watching, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder what Brian remembers of me saying about it. Because that, I feel like you would have remembered if there was anything like strong. But clearly nothing, like, I didn't even remember the murders.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Because
I don't think I thought of this movie ever
We weren't crazy
since.
fans. You weren't a crazy fan of Gwyneth.
Right.
Around that time, and we both weren't fans of Philip Seymour Hoffman,
right?
Both of whom are in this film. So, I feel like if you had any argument against the movie, it would just be those things that you never liked to begin with, you know.
And I didn't have an opinion about Matt Damon, did I?
No,
because I feel like I do now.
Oh, jeez. All right, so let's dive into now. When did you rewatch this?
So I watched it a few days ago. Not too far long ago, and I have to be honest with you. It took me a while to get through.
Okay.
So, this movie is not a short movie. It's a 2-hour and 15-minute movie, and that was looming over me. And I'm like, I have to watch this movie. I have to watch this movie, and so I started it as I do sometimes with these longer movies. Sometimes I do watch it in pieces. And it probably loses something for me, but this is just my life. I just can't, sometimes I just cannot sit for 2.5 hours, especially on like a Friday night or a Saturday night, where I'm going to just fall asleep watching it. So anyway, so I had to watch it in pieces. And I will tell you, the first part of it, I felt was so boring. Like, I was just like, oh my God.
From when to when? Like,
from almost up until the movie, up until the murder. Like, I feel like up until the murder, I was so bored. And I was just like, oh my God, this something has got to happen. I was so bored with the interactions. I felt like the interactions were so similar to every time they were together. I felt like it was the same scene over and over and over again. Whether it was Gwyneth and Jude, or Jude and Matt, or Matt and Gwyneth. Like, I'm like, it's the same freaking scene over again. Like, I didn't care what they had to say to each other. It was just really, I was in a bad mindset for this movie, I think. Because I was just like, oh my God, this thing is dragging on. And I felt like it was super boring. I'm like, this movie's never going to end. Up until the murder. That was my thought.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at how quickly he, like, this movie actually starts pretty quickly. Like, this guy meets Matt Damon's character and immediately loves this guy. Immediately. So much so that he's going to give him his credit card to go find his son to bring him back. Like, that seemed
But that, can we just jump in?
Yeah,
because that to me is so indicative of the film.
Yeah.
All he cared about is, Princeton, clearly you're a good person. Like, and that it's very classist, and that's the whole thing. And I think that rhythm to this movie is like, we're all going skiing, and and it's like, and it's all money, and because you dress a certain way or look a certain way or sound a certain way, or they think you went to a school that you didn't go to, that you're just in. And it doesn't matter that you are kind of weird and a little odd and like you're kind of stalker.
And money probably doesn't mean a whole lot to him anyway. So giving this guy a credit card wouldn't probably make a difference.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Steal $100,000 from me? Who cares?
Right.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Totally get
but I think that's a big part of it, and like this being able to keep up, in with like, the lies and the money and all this kind of stuff. So, and even Cate Blanchett's character in the beginning, she lies about her name because she doesn't want people to think because her family is a big oh, for the love of God.
Yeah, I don't know what
textiles or tiles. Tiles?
Probably
one of them.
Textiles.
And and it's like the end is like she said her name was Randall, but it's actually Logues, which is like apparently a big manufacturer. So she has money.
Right.
Her aunt lives in Rome, and she's going to go visit her aunt for a while. But it's just that idea. And so to exactly that point, is it unbelievable? My thing is that it was more the interaction that felt unbelievable to me because
Between
I don't
him
think
and the father.
Yes,
because
Matt Damon could have said, and he doesn't say, he could have said, "Oh yeah, Dickie, of course I know him." Like, but he didn't do that at all. No. All he said, "Oh yeah, how is Dickie?" Like he like it was just the father wasn't too quick, but again. He sees the jacket from Princeton,
right?
And he fills in the rest of the blanks. You're white, you're moneyed, you can play the piano, you're upper echelon. You're good with me, and I miss my son. Please, I'm going to give you some money. Go to Italy and find him. The trick is that to me, when he says, "Oh God, I've never been to Europe." That would have been an eye-opener for the dad. So listen, I don't want to give too much away. There are things in here where I'm like, I feel like the script should have been punched up a little bit more to make this stronger. Right. Yeah. Because
the thing that was a little bit confusing to me, or a little bit of like is these types of people. Yeah. To be generalized, they know each other. They run in the same circles.
Yeah, that's another.
So, the last names should be familiar. They, that's it's like almost on the Titanic, right? Yeah. Like everybody knew each other, and even if they didn't know each other, they knew the family. They knew the name. They knew, and you're right about like not going to Europe, really.
Like you've never.
How could you have not ever?
You've never been to Europe,
right? Yeah. So to me, not knowing like the last name, like yes, the Princeton jacket is one thing, but the last name he should have been familiar with. Oh, of the, Rockefellers?
Yeah, right.
Of the Ripleys or whatever. That was a little bit of a disconnect from me to not have that sort of connection. Because that's usually how they run. It's like, oh, you're from this family
Completely.
Of this family.
Ripley, as in Ripley's Believe It or Not, I've heard of that. Yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing. And also, it's like just funny because it's like the talented Mr. Ripley, when I would argue he's not super talented.
Oh, God, don't even get me started on that. Are you kidding me?
So, the other thing is, why the F does he instantly lie to Meredith? There's no reason. She's like, "What's your name?" "I'm Dickie Greenleaf." Dumb.
Yes, that
dumb.
was my next
You're
point.
dumb. You're dumb. Why in the hell did he even have to lie? Why can't he just say, "My name's Tom Ripley. My acquaintance's dad is sending me to Italy to talk to him. His name's Dickie Greenleaf." Just what? why the hell did he say he's Dickie Greenleaf?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense
Zero
to
sense.
me either. Zero sense.
But I'll tell you, the first time I saw it, I went right along with it. This
Yeah.
time, I was like, that's almost unforgivable. Because it
Yeah, it
creates
just didn't make any
such
sense. So
stupid...
it'd be one thing if he was... So, I mean, okay, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. He was, I think, already planning on taking over his identity. Do you agree with me on that? Because he was, in his mind, I almost feel like it. And I don't know if the audience was along with that, but he spent some time listening to the jazz and getting into the jazz. And so to me, and he was impersonating his father's voice.
Right.
So to me, it was almost like already in his head that he was going to impersonate this guy. However, he wasn't even in Europe yet. Right? Or was he? Did he already land? I don't remember.
Yeah.
But for someone to come over in that same circle and to already say you're somebody else, that I was right away thinking, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And it's even weirder that she doesn't know him.
Right, exactly.
She knows everyone else in that circle.
Yep.
And here's the thing I found out in my research. That character of Meredith, by the way, I like Cate Blanchett in this a lot. But that character's not in the book.
Oh.
So this is an adapted screenplay. It was nominated for an Oscar for best adapted screenplay. It didn't win. But that character of Meredith is not in the actual book. He wanted... So Anthony Minghella, who did The English Patient, was one of the most boring fucking movies in the world.
That one was like 6 hours
that
long.
movie
It was
is so painful.
long.
I saw that in a movie theater and I was like, what is the hype? I don't get it. But when he was adapting the screenplay, he wanted Tom Ripley to want what Dickie Greenleaf has, including someone who is like Marge, played by Gwyneth Paltrow. So he created this character, and then he had seen Cate Blanchett in something and was like, I want to work with her and whatever. So then he gave her more scenes. I don't think that was a great idea.
No, I don't
because
either.
it created almost like these sitcom-ish moments.
And she was a little bit odd when she first appears on this. And I was thinking, I'm like, is she hitting on him? Why is she so interested in flighty almost?
Yeah.
Like she seems so much more sophisticated than how she's acting.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Kate acting.
Yeah.
I mean the character. She's acting like this little schoolgirl. And honestly, Tom Ripley is not that attractive. So it's like, what is she doing? Why is she interested in him? Why does she care about him? It's one thing to see like the jacket and be like, oh, I'll say because it's a stranger in a strange land. Oh, let's, hang because we are both from America. That's one thing. But she was like hitting on him and very like girlishly.
Yeah.
It just didn't I'm like, I don't understand why. Yeah. And that wasn't a reflection of Cate Blanchett. It was a character.
She does, to your point of his attractiveness, so he lost 30 pounds for this role. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I didn't find him because later on in the movie, there's comments like, "Oh, you look like him." No, he doesn't. No. And and to your point, the cruise, the boat. A boat station, the ferry station. She looks at him and you can tell from her look that she thinks he's cute. Yeah. But I think he's much cuter in Good Will Hunting, like in other things he's done. And he's not an unattractive guy.
Well,
but I don't think he's to be
at this point. He's supposed to be awkward, nerdy.
Yeah.
He has the glasses. Yeah. All right. If the 80s have taught me nothing.
Yeah.
If you put glasses on, you're unattractive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he has the glasses on and the weird hairdo with the corduroy jacket.
Yes, yeah.
He's not supposed to be cute in this.
That's right. He's not a hunk. He's not a sex symbol.
Yeah.
So moving on from that. So this right off the bat, there's some glitches here. Mm-hmm. Christina, I do have to respectfully disagree. I loved the first half of this. I loved all the chatter, the banter. To me, it was like, I think this movie did a really good job of you wanting to be, or someone wanting to be Dickie Greenleaf. Mm-hmm. His life is beautiful. He is
Not a care in the world.
He is so fun. Doesn't have a care in the world. He just goes around kissing women, jumping in the water, jumping on a boat, going here, going there, like these, cocktails and jazz and all these things. And it's like they do an amazing job of really getting someone to be like, oh my God, who wouldn't want this life?
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't want to be his friend? And this idea of like a fast friendship that burns out quickly. And I think so it does a really great job of setting up this familiarity of like, we're hanging out every single day. We're going here together and there together. And we're like best friends. We're like brothers. And like to when Freddie shows up and everything goes crashing down.
Yeah.
So, but I did love a lot of the banter. I think Gwyneth Paltrow is really good in this. I think when she's
hot and cold for me.
In this?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked her disenchanted moments with Dickie. Like when Tom is just sort of hanging out with her, and like Dickie comes home from being with that woman who he gets pregnant, and Marge says, "He made me laugh so hard I almost got a nosebleed," and Dickie says, "Is that good?" And she goes, "Shut up." Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. But she feels so of the time.
Yeah.
Like this is like late 50s. Like she's an expat. Like but she feels that like sort of like proper, sophisticated, lovely, understanding. Like, and you can kind of tell that kind of housewife she would be, right? So she's really going for that, for the part, so to speak. And but I just thought I love so much about it. Jude Law is gorgeous and flirty and fun. I just took like it is. I mean, he just enjoys life.
He's just like the spoiled little guy that just has so much money to spend.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I agree that he is someone that someone would want to emulate.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I liked I didn't enjoy the fast friendship. I didn't think that was believable. Because he didn't like him at first. He's like, "Do I know you?"
Right.
Do I? And I felt like they didn't spend enough time with the suspicion of all that.
Okay, so now here's another thing. I do think there's something to be said of like being Americans in a foreign land and bumping into another American.
Yeah.
That's your age, your status, all these kind of things where it's an easy fix. Marge is nicer to him.
Yes.
And so what does he do? Dickie's out and he swings by to bond with Marge.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting her to laugh. He's doing impersonations and then he wins Dickie over by impersonating his father. I found this movie really interesting. Okay. Shit.
Was that an impersonation?
I thought it was good.
Oh my God. I thought it was so stupid.
What,
it's like, here's my impersonation of Brian Macefield. I watched The Talented Mr. Ripley. And I have a podcast. Oh. And they're like, "Wow, that's uncanny." I'm like,
Christina, they
really.
don't have YouTube. They don't have phones. It's like
it was just
entertainment is hard to come by.
It was him changing like the volume of his voice. That was it.
What I think was the more of the shock is that he opened up about that. That he was on a mission from his dad.
I was surprised that he was so forthcoming about the information.
Yeah, and what's your talent? Oh, I'm good at forging people's names.
Yeah.
Doing voices, and there's something else.
Yeah,
like, well,
it was all like
three
shady
talents.
stuff.
A person should only have one talent. I just loved it. I liked how even though I've seen this movie before, I liked how I didn't really know Tom's game. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't know like is he stupid and clumsy with this stuff, or like I didn't find him very talented at all.
And I still, even at the end of the movie, I didn't find him to be talented either.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, I still didn't understand what his game was. Like, is he mentally ill?
Yeah.
Does he want to impersonate? Does he want to become friends? Does he want to become him? Does he believe that he is him? Does he... I wish there was a little bit more, and I guess sometimes it works in its favor, but I really feel like I wish there was a little bit more...
clarity.
Of his history.
Yeah.
That revealed, okay... this is why he is doing what he's doing, because it still was very unclear. Like, what is he trying to do? Why?
Yeah.
And has he done it before? Is this something that he's has he murdered before? Has he has he tried to become, or is this some sort of new idea of his because he likes him so much?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very unclear if this is something that's new or if it's, I mean, he immediately says he's Dickie when he already is becoming him without knowing him.
Yeah.
So why am I feeling like he wants to become him because of who he is? He doesn't even know who he is yet.
Right.
So it would have been a lot more believable. Again, that first scene is like just screwed everything up for me, truly. If he hadn't become Dickie the second he met somebody else, it would have been more believable for me to feel like, oh, he has a little bit of a mental illness and he likes him so much he wants to become him. Yeah. But he didn't even know him at that point.
I know. And it's based in a book, but it's also a series of books with Tom Ripley. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it's like, because it's unclear. Because I think, but we have to judge what we see and with the movie.
Right.
And
he worked at Princeton. So maybe it's something that he
as a piano tuner.
Something, yeah. So maybe it was something way back when, he was witnessing all of this privilege and that he wanted to become. So that would have been a nice little backstory-ish. But you're left kind of unsure, like.
And no one wants a longer movie.
Nobody wants a longer movie. No,
but it could have managed it in some different ways. Maybe there's a couple little flashbacks to what he's sort of makes him tick.
A flashback would have been nice.
But I will say, I think I do think this movie does a good job of, like, she talks about. So Marge says, okay. Really, before I forget, I do love all the Italy stuff. I love the boats, the cafe, the jazz club, the espresso making, and just like that life is just like, I truly, more so than probably any movie we've watched in the last year, I wanted to be part of that world. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just so peaceful and fun, and it's like a little like travel log. It's just looks gorgeous. I also really loved the bathtub scene.
That was an interesting scene.
Yes. And amazing butt. I'm pretty sure it's his butt.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. The, with Jude Law in the bathtub. And it's incredibly homoerotic. I mean, it's really like, and Tom says, oh, I'd like to come in there too. And you see Dickie thinking about this. And he goes, no. And he's like, oh, no, I meant when you were out of the water. Yeah. Yeah. But later on, I did feel a weird connection between them. Definitely. That is not one-sided. Like, I feel like when Matt Damon's singing My Funny Valentine. Yes. Dickie keeps looking over at him, and I'm like, there's like a little bit more there. And Marge, at one point, I didn't read the book, but at one point Marge says, the thing about Dickie is it's like the sun shines on you and it's glorious, and then he forgets you and it's very, very cold. And then later on, she rattles off all these men's names. Yeah. She's like, oh, like it's like with Freddie and this one and this one. And then she says the guy, the conductor guy. Yeah, Peter. And then she's like, and that's just the boys. Mm-hmm. And meaning that, I don't know what it means, but I think there's definitely something that's suggested, because I think Freddie, to me, even though he talks about sleeping with women, Freddie seems a little gay, and the other guy is gay, and you know that Dickie and this guy have spent a lot of time together and traveling together and all this kind of stuff. So you just wonder, you do wonder, it's not explicitly said, but there is something going on that's unspoken there behind, like, say, Dickie Greenleaf. Yes. Like, it seems like he wants to love everybody, Yeah,
or that he's like, it's almost like he's so bored with his life that he's willing to explore other options. And to me, yes, I agree with you on all of that. The bathtub scene really clinched it for me. Like, oh yeah, he's at least bi-curious. Like, there's something there. I believe he has experimented. Mm-hmm. And to me, I don't feel like he trusted Tom. Like, he wanted to, but he didn't really trust it. Yeah. That's what I think.
Or he knew. I think what I got was that I think he sensed that it would mean something much more to Tom than it would mean to him.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But also, like, again, like, so I really felt like I didn't believe Dickie ever really was a friend or wanted to be friends with Tom. Just for a variety of reasons. I feel like I never got that, like, oh, they're friends.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like he was suspicious from the beginning. He never really believed him. He questioned it later on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees him with Marge, which to me made it even worse. Like, now, not only are you not really trusting him as, like, the Princeton kid, but now there's a bit of a jealousy thing. So to me, I'm like, now it's almost like keeping your enemies closer situation, like keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I always felt like there was that underlying thing, like, I just don't trust you, I don't like you, but I'm going to keep you close because I don't trust you. So
I didn't get that. I think it was more like, what I got was that Dickie liked how much Tom liked him up to a point. And then it was like, oh God, he's like a leech. And like, I think he only realized it when Freddie came to town.
Sure.
And was like, oh God,
Freddie immediately did not like this guy.
Yeah, instantly. And he's like, a corduroy jacket in Italy. And although I have to be honest, Philip Seymour Hoffman, I'm usually not a fan of, may he rest in peace, I think he's great in this. I think he kind of gave the movie a bit of a charge.
Yeah.
And shook things up a little bit. I actually really liked his performance.
That was a little bit over the top. I didn't really... I see why he was, but I don't know. I just don't like him in general. No offense to the dead, but...
Jesus, Christina.
Whatever. I just felt like... I'm just now looking at my notes for the first time.
Oh.
But I did say he's very cringy. The voice and the laugh were just too much for me.
Tommy, how's the peeping? Tommy.
Oh. That's a better impersonation than Tom can do.
How's the peeping? I'm a regular Mr. Ripley.
You are.
So, yeah, the thing about the Marge, where are you going? Is like Marge maintenance, and they have sex in the boat. And Tom is staring at them. And then you have Freddie noticing Tom staring at them.
Yes.
Super uncomfortable, very awkward. Yeah. And then my next note is about the boat scene.
Okay, the only note I have before that, we talked about all this stuff. Except for one little quote I have from Dickie. I could fuck this icebox. I love it so much. I don't think that was necessary. Anyway, but the train ride was super creepy. And again, like, you're not sure, like, what is happening there. When
he goes to rest his head on his...
sniffing him, he's smelling him.
Yeah.
So you're like, you just really... You wonder about his stability, his mental health a little bit.
Completely.
And then the boat scene, I thought that this was Jude's strongest scene.
Mm-hmm.
He was so, like, unstable, and it was, like, fun and exciting. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at him. Like, he's really, like, losing it a little bit. Yeah. And then, of course, he does.
Well, and because later on we find out that Dickie almost killed someone in school.
Yeah.
Which had to get into Princeton, but I'm guessing maybe the money covered it up. But he almost, like, kicked someone to death, right? Kicked someone unconscious. So if that scene registered weirdly for anyone, it's like you later find out that, oh no, he has that in him too. Mm-hmm. So they're both have these, violent, abilities.
Yeah.
And so, but when he's calling Tom boring, I mean,
boring.
Boring. And you feel Tom unraveling, and then Tom just lets it all out. Yeah. Like, well, and you got a little bit of that before, because he's like, we're brothers. Like, you're a brother to me, and I'm a brother to you. It's like, he didn't say that.
Yeah. No.
And then blame the murder on me. I'll take the rep for you. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? Yeah. Oh, not the murder, the suicide.
Suicide.
Village, the girl from the village, yeah. So,
that's right. Yeah.
Insane. So Tom's unraveling, and then I remember vividly that situation where he hits Dickie. Freddie. Dickie with the oar. And thinking, but being really shocked at how much blood came out.
Yes. There was so much blood.
So there's a lot of blood.
And that makes me feel like maybe he's never done this before, but he certainly knew how to cover it up for someone who's never murdered anybody.
Yeah. Right.
It was this is the problem that I've had. Like
they never find Dickie's body. They never find his body.
They never find his body. They're not even really looking for him. They're not really looking for him that much.
They found the boat. Yeah.
And so, are we to assume that all of that blood was washed out of the boat? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
I know it's the 50s, but there still has to be some sort of forensics involved. Just so much of that was just, I don't know, it just didn't tie together for me enough for me to really, like, believe it.
So then after the boat, this is when I think something else weird happens with the movie, where Marge is almost instantly suspicious of Tom.
All of a sudden.
And it doesn't really line up.
No.
Like, because to me, I thought, oh, if anything, this will bring Marge, you would think this brings Marge closer to Tom, but it's quite the opposite.
Right.
His presence just fucking scares her. And I think that, and so it's like, and it's interesting because later on, one of his dad says to Marge, look, there's women's intuition, and then there's the facts. And so she is her fears are kind of dismissed all across the board.
Yes, everybody.
But what I didn't quite get is, like, I wish there was a scene where you hear Marge actually saying something like, isn't it weird that Tom keeps showing up in these places wearing something of Dickie's? Look, he colors his hair, for God's sake. He bleaches his hair a little bit, or blondes his hair. And now he's suddenly interested in all these things that Dickie was interested in.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem at all concerned about Dickie, but then at the same time, he's like, oh no, Dickie? Oh, I just saw him 5 seconds ago. But it's like, we're in the same place. How did you see him and I didn't see him? And,
right.
And he's talking to you, but he's not talking to me. Like, Tom basically really pushed it to a degree of unbelievability.
Yes.
And minimizing their Marge and Dickie's relationship. Because Marge seems to know better, like Dickie wouldn't behave this way.
Even without Marge's involvement, he's running around in Dickie's circles. Like, he's living in his apartment and he's using his things and he's still within the people who know Dickie. Like, if you don't look that much about like him, you really don't. Like, anybody who's ever met Dickie knows that you're not him.
Right.
So the fact that he is immediately assuming his identity and staying in the same vicinity where people know him is stupid. It's stupid. You have to either not assume his identity or slowly start understanding his life a little bit better. But then you got to move. You got to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
you got to get out of there.
Yeah, a big part of that was him being able to cash the money and all, the checks and get into his bank account and all that stuff. But it was just like I didn't understand. That was the thing. I didn't understand his plan.
Yeah, what was the plan exactly? What was the plan?
Yeah,
what was it? We don't know. Nobody knows.
But then we get into Freddie.
But I will say, I liked, this is when I started liking Gwyneth more. Okay. When she was, I agree, it was a little bit off that all of a sudden she's just...
Like, he was enemy number one.
She's like
she didn't believe a word he said.
Nothing. And there's no reason
No real reason. Yeah.
But this is when I liked her performances more. The beginning of it, it's just like, I don't know, it just didn't really gel for me. And then Freddie shows up, and so now we're adding another murder into his...
Did you feel like, can I be honest, I don't know why, I was like, and I there was a point though where I think at least for me, I kind of wanted him to get away with it, because otherwise why are we watching this movie? Like, right. Because I felt like Gwyneth, even though she's, top female billing, and then Philip Seymour Hoffman's a supporting character, meaning Tom is the lead. Like, now, once Dickie is killed off, are we watching it hoping he gets away with it, or are we watching he gets caught by these supporting characters? Right. Like, I don't know. But at the same time, because Freddie is so toxic, I was like, oh shit, I don't, like, you don't want him to
You
catch
don't want
Tom.
him to catch him. Right, you don't want him, you want him to get murdered.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But yes, and I thought it was really quick for him to all of a sudden say, where's Dickie? Like, why are you wearing his stuff?
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Why is he automatically suspicious? It seems like Freddie wouldn't give him a second thought. Like, he meant nothing to him.
Yeah.
So for him to all of a sudden say, oh, you must, in his eye, oh, you must be impersonating Dickie. Why? Where would he get that from? I just didn't get that either.
Well, he said the only thing in here that looks like Dickie is you, because you're saying that all the art, the piano, he doesn't play. Although he doesn't say that till later. He's like, he doesn't play piano. Like, why would Dickie have a piano when Tom plays the piano?
Yeah.
So, he's gathering this together. But even going back towards the beginning, where he's like, wow, Tom, I want your job. You're here, mooching off the money, taking, his dad's paying for everything. There was suspicion with that. And I think he was warning, essentially, Dickie about Tom's cleanliness. I mean, he barely knew him, and he instantly was like, a corduroy jacket. They were just... And then, once
it
he
was
saw...
kind of a jealousy thing. Like, to me, it was a little bit more like a jealousy thing. And I wish they had played into that more. Why are you here? Why, why are your things here? For someone to just jump to you're impersonating somebody seems a bit much. It's a little far-fetched. It's a little bit unusual for someone to be doing that. But to feel like maybe, especially if Freddie and Dickie had some sort of a sexual thing, which we kind of think they did, right? I mean,
yes,
I'm thinking they did. Then he would be, I think, more likely to have that assumption that they are lovers, not necessarily that Tom is impersonating Dickie.
Yeah.
That's the only part that seemed a bit weird.
unless Dickie, oh my God, Freddie. Unless Freddie thought that he could connect Tom spending Dickie's money to the disappearance of Dickie. But that's not really said.
Did he really seem that smart to you? Come on. It's
Dickie? I mean, Freddie?
Yeah.
I know. The bludgeoning of Freddie was jolting. I liked it. I will say that. I liked that really fucked up moment where, like, the housekeeper, I guess, said, oh, Dickie.
That's another thing.
Okay,
yes.
like that.
We knew that was going to happen. I mean, this guy is an idiot. He already knows that Freddie is suspecting this, right? As unusual as that would be. He knows that he suspects that he's impersonating. So what does he do? He comes out of the apartment. He leans over so that everybody can see him. He sees the conversation. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Well, not only that,
look up
he can
and
barely
say hi.
speak. He can barely speak Italian.
Yes,
and he's eavesdropping as if he'd understand what they're saying anyway.
Yeah, it was really a dumb move.
But as a movie moment, I liked it. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like a suspenseful twist.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes is Gwyneth asking about the rings. Mm-hmm. And she's walking backwards. And even though I've seen this movie before, you kind of think she's going to be murdered.
Yes, I thought she was going to be murdered.
It's directed that way. The music is so good. I kind of squawk about music a lot in this podcast. I think the score is really strong throughout this whole movie. The directing of it, the lighting, Gwyneth's acting is so
she's very good in this.
Fucking good. It's like scene. That like we talked about this with Fear actually, when like the guys are, invading the house and just that like thing of like, oh shit, I'm like in this room with someone who I feel is like is a killer. Yeah, he's gonna hurt me. And then he has the razor in his pocket and he ends up stabbing him, cutting himself, which is a little Fatal Attraction.
Very Fatal Attraction.
But I just loved that scene so much.
It was great. Yeah, it really was. And I think you could really read on her face that moment where she feels good because she has got him.
Yeah.
Her suspicions are right. And all of a sudden she's like, oh, shit.
But now
maybe I'm gonna die now. Like he's gonna kill me now. Like what did I do?
Yeah.
You feel that panic, like oh shit.
Yeah, and also again, should be the clumsy Mr. Ripley, because he should have a built-in reason for everything.
Right.
This kid's got nothing.
He's not smart.
He's got nothing but time. When she said, "Why do you have Dickie's rings?" He shouldn't answer like that. Dickie told me to hold them for him.
Right.
He must have left him here. He wanted nothing to do with you. Like, he was like, give me a minute. And he spends like 2 minutes running around. Let me change into something. He puts a robe on. That took a long time. And then he comes out and he barely has an excuse. Like, he should have had, and that would have made the movie much better, he should have an answer for fucking everything.
He was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
He was stupid as a character.
I also loved, later on when Gwyneth started beating him.
Yes.
And saying, I know it was you. I know you did it. I know it was you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oof, she's good.
Yeah.
She's
that
really
last
good.
half of the movie, I agree. Yes, she's great.
I thought she was great throughout, and I feel differently. But I always thought it would be better to be a fake somebody than a real
I wrote
nobody.
that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to say I have some trivia and I have a match game, but I don't have too many notes. One thing I will say, and I think this is, I don't know if you ever had this experience in your life with like, when you meet a new friend and you have that thing and then you quickly realize like out of sight, out of mind.
Yes.
Have you had friends like that in your life? I've had those kinds of friends where it's like, when you're together, it's like, oh my God, everything's great. And when you're out of sight, it's like they don't think about you or they're not reaching out, whatever. And it's like, and I think this movie does a really good job of that.
Sure.
Like,
yep.
as soon as Freddie comes out, you feel that like heartbreak. Of course, Tom is mentally ill, so it means something a little bit differently to him.
Yeah.
But I think it's relatable in a small way.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely.
A good
yeah,
job
you do.
of that.
And it is a little bit surprising how he drops him like a hot potato.
A hot potato.
But like
fast.
immediately, I'm like, oh wow, that's
Like,
kind of surprising.
Not like them going into the booth and like not including him at all, being like, oh, have fun.
Right.
You have fun sightseeing. It's like
bye.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, and we just thought it would be easier if you didn't come skiing with us because you don't know how to ski. So
Yeah.
like.
My last note really is that the whole bumping back into Cate.
Dumb.
Right?
I hated it.
So
I hated it.
Stupid.
Yep.
And again, it's how does Cate not know about everything that's going on?
How does she know everyone in that circle, but what Dickie Greenleaf even looks like?
Right. Right. Or in all of the stuff that's surrounding.
Yeah.
And all of
you didn't hear
Where
Dickie
is he?
killed himself.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she sees him like, oh, hey, I thought you killed yourself.
Yeah. That's weird.
And they keep panning to her parents who
The
clearly...
aunt and the... Yeah.
The aunt. Who clearly have their suspicions. Even when they first meet him, they're like, well, I don't remember. Like,
there's something he's a bit of a phony.
And yes, and then later, they see him like they're talking. Like I thought something was going to be revealed by their conversations. Like I was waiting for the police to come down. Do you know what I mean? Like they were having some, and then that was lost. Like there was no need for that for them even to be in the scene. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that she didn't understand.
Well, she says, so he's like, are you here alone? Because then that sort of suggested maybe he would just kill her.
Right.
And but when she says no, it's like me and company or me and co.
Yeah.
She's like, so much co. And she looks up and it's her aunt and the uncle. So I think that was sort of like, you can't kill me because.
But they looked down and they were like whispering amongst themselves. I'm like, they know. How does she not know? Why are they telling each other?
It's so weird because she's connected. Like she's connected to this circle.
The families are in the same social circles.
Yeah.
Like, it's just didn't make any sense.
And why? And she just runs right up to him and like is all. It's like.
Oh, and are we supposed to believe that
dangerous.
she is so in love with him after one date? Like, oh my god!
It's not. It was a bad choice. She should not have reemerged back into the story.
No, she really.
Because here we go. Because it's like here we go again. Another Three's Company episode where Jack has to run between two lovers, and it's like in that. At least in the other one, like in the other part of the movie where he has them both go to the coffee shop. I was like, oh, it's strategic. He wants them to, because she's gonna say, I just saw Dickie, and it's gonna break her heart. So fine. But then it's like this poor gay guy who is like I
That
mean, I
was so
can't imagine how
sad.
hard it is to be a gay man in 1958, but then to find somebody who likes you, although even that is a little weird because he says he has a fiance. So Tom Ripley tells him, he's like, oh, my fiance,
Yeah.
who's a woman. So it's like, what is going on? And so the ending still is unsatisfying to me. Although
Yeah.
the only thing I did notice, and I've never noticed this before, is that the ending is the beginning. Did you catch that?
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, it's the same shot.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So, and he's like, oh God, I just murdered someone.
So now
and
you're
now
wondering.
I'm really gonna get stuck. I mean, he has to get caught. I mean, where else is he gonna do?
It's so sloppy. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
he's
just
not
so
very
sloppy.
talented.
No, not at all. I'm definitely not talented at murdering people.
But so now,
But I did say that the Peter murder was actually really sad, and I did like the way it was filmed, where you're just hearing it. Yeah. You're hearing it off screen, like what is happening. I thought that was very effective, and you're like,
and creepy
creepy.
Yeah.
I forget the music, but I think the music was pretty effective.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's all I have.
I feel like I have some trivia.
Okay.
But before we do that, we should say more or less or about the same. And I know you're gonna say you barely remembered it, so I'm assuming you're gonna say less.
I am going to say less because, honestly, it was so boring to me, that first half of it. It was like, there's very few movies I feel that way, like, oh my God, I really want this movie to end. I want it to end. I want it to end. Really struggling with staying interested in it. Into the Woods comes to mind. I
hated that movie.
Terrible movie. Terrible. I just want it to end. That first half of it really gave me that same sensation, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through it? I actually considered not even watching the rest of it, to be honest. Like, at one point I was like, could I not watch the rest of it and just be like, I couldn't get through it? But I'm glad I went through it.
You have to. We have to take an oath. We have to finish these movies.
I've always finished them. I've always finished them.
Yeah, you've fallen asleep as well.
Well, I have here and there,
couple times.
Yes. But I'm glad that I watched the second half because that did hold my attention a lot better. And it was definitely better than the first half and all that. But I will say less for sure because, honestly, I don't remember how it felt.
But so for me, as much as I squawked about it, it's more.
Interesting.
I do think the acting is much stronger than I remember. And I think it's easy to, in 2023, sort of dismiss Gwyneth Paltrow as like Goop, the Goop woman, and, and her idiosyncrasies and her eccentricities, and forget that she has been really good in many movies. So I think this is really strong acting from her. I love Jude Law in this. I think it's a really great performance. The music, I love the cinematography. Just how beautiful Italy is and like capturing that way of living. I just loved it. I did not find it slow. I really, truly did not find it slow. But yeah, so for me, it's more. But one thing that you said earlier, and I don't know if you really touched upon it, what did you think of Matt Damon's acting? Like, you mentioned his looks and the character, but... Because you said, God, Matt Damon.
I was thinking more of like the impersonation.
Okay.
Like I thought his talent was not very talented. Matt Damon, I could have taken a left, like take or leave.
So it was supposed to be...
I didn't think he was that great. It
was supposed to be Leonardo DiCaprio, and he turned it down.
Okay. I think he would have been better.
I think so. I think I agree with that. I think Matt Damon, again, on revisit Good Will Hunting, I thought it was really, really strong on that.
So you know what's really interesting that you just said that? Not about that, but Emily walked in while I was watching this movie, and she goes, "Is that Leonardo DiCaprio?" I said, "No, it's Matt Damon."
Oh my God.
Isn't that weird?
Well, he lost 30 pounds for it, and maybe he was trying to be like.
He had the Jack Dawson
pretty
hairstyle.
Skinny. Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah. Budget $40 million. The box office was almost $130 million. Wow. So it was a hit. Matt Damon learned how to play the piano for this movie. Jude Law learned how to play the saxophone for this movie. They hired Jude Law because they couldn't find an American actor who was sophisticated enough.
Oh my gosh.
And they, it's like, but they figured, like, say British actors tend to be more sophisticated anyway, and all Jude had to do was get an American accent. Oscar noms. There are 5 Oscar nominations for Jude Law. Adapted screenplay based, of course, the books were written by Patricia Highsmith. Original score, Gabriel Yared, and then art direction and costume design. Jude Law broke a rib during the big fight in the boat when Matt Damon, when he fell backwards. And yeah, you said that before. The character of Meredith was added on later on. And she's not in the book. That's all my notes. I have a match game.
I also have a match game.
All right, Christina. I'm kind of loving this question because of
Oh.
because of one thing that I know really irked you about this movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Should I go first then?
Yeah.
No wonder Tom was so good at impressions. His dad was blank.
Okay, this might be generational.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My pen just ran out.
Oh no.
Happens to me a lot during that. Do you have a pen handy?
I do.
Let me just.
Oh.
Gee, could you throw it any worse?
My shoulder hurts.
Oh, you throw it diagonally onto the other side of the room, you people. Oh my god.
You people.
All right.
Oh my god, I have another pen right here. Keep it. Christina.
Oh.
I didn't even notice.
All right.
All right. No wonder Tom Ripley was so good at impressions. His dad was blank.
Rich Little.
Rich Little!
Yay!
Yay!
Is anybody in this other generation?
Well, I mean, Joe
you know-
Piscopo, Dana Carvey. I mean,
No,
you know.
Rich Little is the
He's the
impersonation.
quintessential. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
We haven't
Very
matched
nice.
in a
We got
while,
good,
I'm
I know
happy,
there was
yeah.
a good match. All right. So here's my match game.
Okay.
Tom Ripley's talents weren't. Oh, I have to wait. I'm not reading.
All right,
it
take your
straight.
time.
Okay. Tom Ripley's talents weren't limited to voice impersonations.
Okay.
In the bedroom, he could make his penis look like a blank. I actually have a couple of things I want to write down, but
All right, let me think about this. All right, I'm taking a chance.
well, I'm gonna write something. All right, I'm gonna write something that pertains to the movie.
Well, me too, actually.
If this is a match, it'd be
I'm gonna be shocked if
shocking.
it's a match. No, it's yeah. Ding.
Alrighty, Tom Ripley's talents weren't limited just to voice impersonations. In the bedroom, he could make his penis look like a...
All right, so I was gonna say saxophone, but then at the last minute I changed it to biscotti.
Saxophone!
Damn it!
God damn it!
Oh, I should have kept it. I should have kept it.
Us matching saxophone would have been really, really interesting.
Yeah, to match both answers.
That would be
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saxophone, I mean, you know, it's quite large, but...
Well, and also Jude Law played it, so
So
that would
that would... Oh.
be like, here, let me show you what I can do.
Yeah, telling to Mr. Ripley, I had to get this from the library.
I also
Yeah.
had to get this from the library.
I watched a lot of the extras as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I did
I
not.
liked them, yeah.
I watched the trailer. That was the extra I watched.
But that was our 200th
Oh my
episode.
gosh. You know
Everybody,
what?
yes.
It's not really an anniversary, I suppose, but it's a milestone.
It is a huge milestone.
Happy milestone, Brian.
Happy
That's
milestone
pretty. I can't believe. Seriously, like 200 episodes.
Yeah.
What does that say about? Like, we've watched 200 movies. Not only did we watch, we've seen the same 200 movies.
It's so crazy. Or whatever's. TV shows.
Oh, yes,
and
right,
videos,
right,
yeah.
right.
So I will say, so I was at work a few weeks ago, and I was talking to a couple friends who were getting pizza, and I mentioned the podcast, and my friend Amy said, "What number are you?" So there's two Amy's, one's with two E's, so it's that one. Okay, I know Amy Bernhardt. Hi, Amy Bernhardt. She might be listening. But it's so the other Amy said, "Oh, how's it going? How many episodes have you done?" And I looked at my phone. I was like, 186. It's like at that point.
And
she's
what?
like, and she looked up, she's like, 186? And like people in line were like, what? And I'm like, I know, I don't know how it happened.
It's so
It
crazy.
happens fast. This is how
It
quickly
does happen
time
fast.
goes by.
So we have 200
episodes.
episodes on our belt.
Christina, congratulations. Cheers
Congratulations to you. Oh my gosh. And we still like each other.
to you. We do. This has been great.
It has been great. All right. And that's that.
And that's it for us and for this episode of Old Roommates.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on Instagram or YouTube, where we have our episodes as well as a little extra.
And if you have any questions about our show, any suggestions for movies we could revisit, reach out to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com.
Thanks again for listening.
This is Brian.
And this is Christina. Until next time.